Good afternoon. This is Kurt Beckett, Chair of FSEC, calling our March 18th regular meeting to order. And Ms. Grantham, if you'd call the roll, please.
Certainly, Chair. Department of Commerce.
Elizabeth Osborne, present.
Ecology.
Blake Nelson, present.
Fish and Wildlife.
Nate Hamplin, present.
Department of Natural Resources.
Kate Dean, present.
Utilities and Transportation Commission.
Brian Ryberic, present.
And optional state agencies for the Hop Hill Solar Project, Benton County, Paul Crippen. For Wallula Gap for Benton County, Adam File. For Goldeneye Best for Skagit County, Robbie Eckroth.
Robbie Eckroth, present.
Cascade Renewable Transmission Project for Skamania County, Asa Leckie.
Present.
City of Stevenson, Jeff Breckel. And City of Camas, Jennifer Sinescu. Moving on to Assistant Attorney Generals, John Thompson.
Present.
Zach Packer.
Present.
And Talia Tuitt.
Present.
For council staff, Dave Walker.
Present.
One moment, sorry, it was a tad quiet in the room. Amy Hofkemeyer.
Present.
Amy Moon.
Present.
Sarah Randolph. John Green.
Present.
John Barnes.
Present.
Joanne Snarsky.
Present.
Maria Belkina.
Present.
Lisa McLean.
Present.
And Gina Young.
Present.
Operational updates, I'll call those who are anticipated to give an update today. For Ostria Solar, John Volz.
Present.
And is there anyone present for the Council for the Environment?
Yes, Sarah Reineveld and Yuri Curl are present.
Thank you. Chair, there's a quorum for all councils.
Very well, thank you. Well, it's my honor to first, before we consider the agenda as council, to introduce our newest member, Kate Dean from the Department of Natural Resources, who for the past year has been the policy director, a year plus at the department, and was a longstanding local elected official for many years prior to that. And so let me welcome Councilmember Dean, and also note on behalf of our other council members who I've come, I think, well enough to know that they would be chagrined that they're not here with you in person today, much as some often are. But in case other council members wish to send a word of greetings after Kate's introduction, I'll just give you a heads up on that. And without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Kate Dean, our newest council member.
Thank you, Chair Beckett. It's an honor to be serving in this role, I think in some of the most important issues of our time. As the chair said, I come from a background in local government and look forward to bringing that experience to this board. And yeah, look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Welcome again. And I'm sorry, I neglected to also wish our former council member, Maverick Ryan, the best in his new endeavor, which I believe involves his work with tribal nations outside state government. So appreciate his service on the council as well as the added transition within the Department of Natural Resources at the commissioner level. So with that, council members, we have a fairly straightforward agenda before us today. If there are any changes, please bring those forward as we adopt the agenda. And the chair would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved, Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the agenda as proposed, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, agenda is adopted. Moving on to the minutes from our regular February 18th council meeting. I have a couple items I would note, but before I do, were there any other edits or comments from other council members to the minutes? All right.
Not here.
Okay, thank you. If I could call everyone's attention to two changes on page 30, actually 32, reading the upper right-hand corner page numbers. A consultation meeting with the Cowlitz Indian tribe that had been scheduled was postponed is now expected to occur in Everett. That should be April or late April, just to be more specific. We have that change tracked. And then moving on to the second and last one, on actually going earlier and to the minutes on page 14, again, page number in the upper right-hand corner of this format. I believe on that exchange between Councilor Rybaric and Ms. Hofkemeyer on the Orca clean air permit for the Grays Harbor facility, there on line 21, it's referenced as Chair Beckett. I believe that was Council Rybaric's comments, not mine. So just wanted to clarify for the record that exchange.
Good catch. I agree with that. Yep.
Great. I was going to say, let me double check that with you, Councilor Rybaric. So with those two changes, again, are there any others from council? All right, hearing
Chair-
none, then.
Chair Beckett, this is Robbie across Skagit County. I believe that the minutes say I was not present. I just want to note that I believe I was.
Excellent. Thank you for that correction. We've got all three captured here by the staff. So with that, Chair would entertain a motion to adopt the minutes with those amendments.
Mr.
So
Chair,
moved. Sorry.
somebody already did. I'll second it.
All right.
Thank you, council. We have a motion before us that has been seconded. All in favor of adopting the minutes as amended, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll abstain.
Thank you, council. And with that, the minutes are adopted. So we will move on to our project updates. And again, for the benefit of other outside folks that may have not participated in the recent meeting or two, in general, we have a new format that reflects projects that have non-routine updates will be those focused in the public meeting here before us, whether they're staff presentations or at times outside, like with the soon-to-be Austria solar update. Other projects that are routine are in the same public packet. They are the normal written reports that we receive, but we have dispensed with the verbal addition of that in terms of their presence in the meeting. So with that reminder on our new approach here, with that, we would move to Austria solar update. And Mr. Volz, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Good
well.
afternoon, Chair Beckett. Oh, sorry about that. Good afternoon, Chair Beckett, council members and staff. This is John Volz with Cypress Creek Renewables representing Austria Solar. In the month of February, we continued the O&M facility construction, began the utility testing with Bonneville Power Administration, and submitted the initial results for their review. They have now a certain time frame to review those results, and upon approval, we would be granted the ability to remove the curtailment limit of, I think we're at 6 megawatt generation during the trial operations. And so commissioning works do continue. We are at a hold point until that curtailment is lifted, but we expect that to be very soon. Then we can proceed for the final commissioning. The major construction work is complete. And so there are some inspections taking place across the site as far as the SWIP maintenance. And so a couple items were identified that are listed here that are ongoing to correct, but as no major construction is expected in the future, these should kind of be just touch-up works and monitoring moving forward. As operations is, I'll say imminent, we have submitted the operational compliance plans for SWIP, spill control, vegetation weed management, emergency plan to FSEC for review. And so that should be in your court or in FSEC's court to approve those plans prior to the facility becoming operational. Other than that, there is nothing non-routine to report for the period.
Very well, thank you. And I would also thank you for the ongoing level of detail in the updates, which I think just helps put on display both for the council and the public what it really takes for projects to ultimately come forward once they have been approved. So thanks for that added diligence. Council members, are there any other comments or questions on Austria? Hearing none, moving
Just
on to Columbia.
Real quick,
Please.
Chair Beckett, if I might, and John, you might have just said this, but I might have missed it. What is the expected full online date for the project?
Thanks, Councilor Barrett.
Yes, we don't have a current date. It is dependent on when Bonneville Power Administration approves the test result and issues us the permission to operate commercially letter. But we expect that to be, I think the best case scenario we're looking at is end of this month or early April. At that point, we will be generating fully. However, we will still be in the construction phase under the site certification agreement until we complete our final testing and vegetation restoration. And so it's kind of, that doesn't exactly answer your question, but full generation, we do expect to be end of March, early April, and then transition into, operational coverage versus construction is likely more May, June timeframe.
Very good. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Other questions? Hearing none. We'll move on to Columbia Solar, and Sarah Randolph, I believe, will provide the update.
Good afternoon. Thank you,
Nope.
Chair, Beckett, and council members and staff. For the record, this is John Barnes on behalf of Sarah Randolph, site specialist for the Columbia Solar. The facility update is provided in your packet. We expect the facility to submit a formal transfer request to the council. After such, staff will work to schedule an informational meeting on the amendment request. Following the informational meeting, the review of comments received by staff will prepare documents to support the council's actions on the request, which will be posted for public comment prior to council's vote on the request. There are no non-routine updates to report.
Very well. Council members, other comments or questions? Hearing none. Moving on to Carriger Solar. Joanne Snarski will provide the update.
Thank you, Chair Beckett and council members. For the record, this is Joanne Snarski, the siting specialist for the Carriger Solar facility in Klickitat County. The process of current judicial review of this project with the Confederated Tribes and Bands of the Yakama Nation has slowed down the progress of the applicant to draft the required plans and move forward with construction. However, FSEC staff are continuing to discuss Carriger's timing for submitting the plans required in the site certification agreement. That's all I have. Any questions?
One question I would have, I suspect others may raise it too, is if there was any other appropriate update on litigation. Sometimes that's not in the public meeting. I assume we're still in process there.
Chair Beckett, this is John Thompson. Are you referring to the Carriger?
I am.
Specifically? Well, the update is that we still need to transmit the agency record and index to the Thurston County Superior Court, and working on that and coordinating with the developer who's intervened in the case and with Yakama Nation, who's the petitioner, and then we'll also have to make a motion to the court to seal those records that are confidential. So all these steps take a bit of time. So that's what's going on right now.
Okay. Well, appreciate the quick update. Sorry to put you on the spot. I suspect other council, certainly I'll speak for myself. If there's anything that's impeding that progression, knowing things do take time, but if there's anything that we can support to make sure that that's as expeditious as appropriate, but especially in light of the governor's executive order on several projects, including that one of Carriger, obviously we want to make sure that we're advancing that as quickly as is feasible. So appreciate your diligence in that regard. Council members, other questions, comments? Seeing none. Moving on to the Cascade Renewables Transmission Project, and Maria Belkina will provide the update, I believe.
Thank you, Chair Beckett and council members. For the record, my name is Maria Belkina, siting specialist assigned to the Cascades Renewable Transmission Project. FSEC is continuing to review the application for site certification for compliance with WAC 463-60 with the objective of determining whether the application contains sufficient information to support the next phase of review. An initial data request has been issued to the applicant to support ongoing review and preparation for SIPA process. Given the scope of the request, we anticipate continued coordination with the applicant regarding timing of responses. Preparation is underway to initiate the SIPA process, including an anticipated determination of significance and scrutiny. Coordination is ongoing to align FSEC's SIPA process with the federal NEPA process. FSEC continuous coordination with federal and state agencies, including the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, as well as Oregon agencies, to support interagency alignment and information sharing. We are also coordinating with Skamania County and the Columbia River Gorge Commission regarding the National Scenic Area Permitting Framework, including potential development of an interlocal agreement to clarify roles and responsibilities. I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Council members, do you have questions or need anything reiterated from the update? Council Pam.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I may have missed it in the update, but what is the status of rounding out the council participation given the different local governments that are that this line transects, please? Thank you.
Let me just add a quick word before staff further jump in, but I wanted to also acknowledge and thank Council Lecky from Skamania, who's online with us today, Jeff Breckel from Stevenson, who's been in prior meetings, but I think unless he logged in here recently, is absent today. And then we do have a new named Councilmember Jennifer Sinescu from the city of Camas. There's, I think, certainly a couple other open items. So appreciate your question, Council Pamplin. Ms. Belkina or Hufkemeyer or?
Yes, we have two more points here. It will be Jan Sokol for Cricket County for next month, and we didn't receive any answer for Clark County.
So Klickitat County is coming and likely with us by next month, and then still pending on Clark County. Is that correct? And as far as we know, that would then round out the known council at that point, or do we still have other jurisdictions that we're sorting through? I know Port of Skamania, I believe, was one of those, by example.
For the record, this is Amy Hofkemeyer. We have had some additional conversations with some of the local governments, some cities, and we are expecting some follow-up information in writing as to whether or not, some of those local jurisdictions that may have a very small portion of the line or maybe don't agree that the project falls within their city limits. We expect in the coming month to have some confirmation in writing as to whether or not they'll be appointing somebody to sit on the council.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Council Pamplin, any follow-up you wish?
No, that's helpful. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I would certainly just affirm for the benefit of the public, as well as a thanks to staff, as well as local partners working through, if not the first, it's certainly been a long time, I think, since FSEC's had this type of corridor project, and sorting through what are the local representatives to that council becomes a little more complex when you get into the particulars, both under the law as well as under the physicality of the property involved. So appreciate that, and as well as people's patience, as we sort through those important details. So,
like Council Lecky has that.
Council Lecky.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Chair. Was there a process for North Bonneville, the city of North Bonneville, also to get a representative? I thought I heard something about that, but I wasn't certain. Thank you.
Yes, we have had additional conversation with North Bonneville about both their appointment of a council member as well as coordination with their planning department. So that is some of the information that we've identified as forthcoming.
Thank you.
Appreciate the question. Okay, I think we then looks like we're ready to move on to our transmission programmatic EIS. And Sean Green will be providing that update. I do want to call out and thank both Ecology and FSEC staff and Sean in particular for a integrated, well, I guess it was hypothetical project scenarios were one part of the exercise recently done. And from what I could see, a good turnout from local county representatives and other staff that I'm sure Sean will expand on a little bit. But I listened into that, albeit while I was in the car heading to Nispelem. So I may have missed a few things, but I just thought it was very well done and appreciated just all the effort it took to bring that forward. So with that, Mr. Green.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Beckett and council members. This is Sean Green, CEPA Specialist for FSEC. During the last council meeting, I provided a walkthrough of the eProgrammatic digital interface that we have developed for FSEC's transmission programmatic EIS. I can share today that the eProgrammatic and its associated route analysis tool are now live and available for public use. To access the eProgrammatic directly, users can go to the FSEC website at fsec.wa.gov and either navigate to the Programmatic EIS landing page under the About FSEC and Studies and Reports dropdowns on the top right of the screen, or just type the word programmatic into the search bar. The Programmatic EIS landing page on the FSEC site includes a direct link to the eProgrammatic. Additionally, FSEC has completed the first in a series of at least 3 joint workshops with the Washington Department of Ecology, in which we are sharing our programmatic EISs with planning staff from several different counties. Our first virtual workshop was held on February 25th. It included an introduction on what programmatic EISs are and how they are structured and can be used to assist project-specific CEPA reviews. We then worked with attendees on a case study of how our programmatic EISs would be applied to a hypothetical project submitted for review. The workshop was fairly well attended, and we received a lot of positive feedback from the county staff that participated. We will be holding an in-person workshop in Grant County next week on March 25th and a second virtual workshop on April 2nd. Are there any questions?
Council members? And for today, it looks like you were due for easier go after last time's in-depth discussion, which again was welcome and important. I would note for the benefit of those participating today in the meeting that the programmatic link is also in the agenda, so you can go straight to it if you have the agenda up. Just FYI.
If I may, Chair?
Please.
One question. Has tribal consultation taken place yet, or what is the plan for that?
For the programmatic EIS?
Yes.
So we had discussions with multiple tribes when the programmatic EIS was being developed. Some of them discussed the potential for requesting consultation. In further discussions, their concerns were, they felt their concerns were better addressed through a formal letter in response from FSEC when the programmatic EIS was being drafted. So to my knowledge, at the moment, there's no plans for formal consultation on the programmatic EIS, although we are always open to having those conversations with tribes if they're interested.
And certainly they've been included in the outreach efforts
Yes.
more recently, in addition to the development. I don't know if they would have called it consultation. That was a little before my time, probably, but certainly it's been robust or certainly present throughout. Knowing some of those expectations are evolving as far as what's the best practice, this year in more recent years. So it also pains me, having remembered a moment ago, it's a good segue from your question and it pains me to go backwards, but let me go back to Cascade Renewable Transmission Project for just one moment. I had, in last month's meeting, and you'll find this in the minutes, was noting as chair, who's under the current statute designated as the lead for consultation on behalf of the council, that I was intending and recommending that we request consultation on the Cascade Renewable Transmission Project. And so letters are basically prepared and soon to go out requesting that, as well as kind of, some broader ongoing engagement with the agency on some of our broader initiatives beyond just CRT. So just wanted to call that out in case there were any comments from council members about that intent. I believe the record shows there was generally affirmation to go do so, which is more of a informal discussion than some action by the council. But I did want to highlight that for both the public and for council members today, that intent is being acted upon. But since the letters haven't gone out, now's your chance to add a word if you wish. So again, sorry to roll us backwards in the agenda. I just skipped over my note I had already written to bring that up. So any comments on that? Council Pamplin.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. And so this would be for the tribal coordination or consultation on CRT. I believe during the meeting last month, there was, I think, like 3 tribes noted, or maybe 4. There was 3 treaty tribes, and as well as the Cowlitz tribe. I just wanted to make sure that, and also I think the Columbia River Intertribal Fish Commission. And so just wanted to make sure that on the radar that we had added Nez Perce, because they're also a treaty tribe that has treaty fishing rights within that portion of the Columbia main stem. And so just kind of by count, I would recommend at minimum consulting with Yakima Nation, Warm Springs, Nez Perce, Umatilla, Critfic, which is the consortium of those 4 treaty tribes. And then I'd also had heard that Cowlitz Indian tribe was interested. Thank you.
Yes, would be the quick answer on that intent. If anything, it's probably at the moment a little more Oregon oriented, not that I suppose matters in the grander scheme, but it would be inclusive of the Washington tribes as well. I would also note, having learned this recently, well, actually, 2 things. So the first thing I've learned a while back, and is a standard practice for FSEC, that when FSEC has a project or goes out, I believe we notify all the tribes of Washington and those relevant from Oregon, just as general notice, whether it's likely to be very much, a project in their usual and accustomed area or something they're more focused on. But that is the standard practice. And while that may seem a little broad to some on the face of it, the second thing that I learned more recently was, by example, the Makah Nation certainly weighs in on any number of species issues that pertain to those coming out of the Columbia, amongst other examples. So whether or not Makah chooses to consult on Cascade Renewable Transmission Project, I don't know. They've been notified in earlier times when the broad distribution first started. But nonetheless, just some of the nature of, it's sometimes hard to tell where you draw the circle on who all should be involved. So FSEC tries to be pretty expansive in its inclusion when we get started, knowing that's probably a little broad, but we narrow in from there. So hope that helps putting a little further specifics on how we do our work around here.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Really appreciate that addition, as well as completely endorse that as the approach of just being inclusive, and then allowing the tribes that are notified, they can self-select how much engagement they provide. So thank you.
Yep. And I should have clarified too, the Cowlitz tribe have requested consultation. And in this case, on behalf of the council, we're sending these letters out asking for consultation of the others, and hope to certainly, have that engagement, much as some have weighed in the record, Critfic, as I recall it, as the council, proceeds in its objective review of this over time. So thanks for letting me unpack that a little further. And unless I see other hands up, I will move us back. And now on to Horse Heaven.
Good afternoon.
Provide the update.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council Chair Beckett and FSEC Council members. This is Amy Moon providing an update on Horse Heaven. In February, I reported that FSEC received facilitator reports with pre-construction survey plans for several wildlife species, including a combined report for the striped whipsnake and sagebrush lizard, burrowing owl, prairie falcon, the black-tailed jackrabbit, the white-tailed jackrabbit, and the Townsend's ground squirrel. We also received the Wild 10 pre-construction bat monitoring plan and the Species 12 Townsend's ground squirrel mitigation and management plan. Those were all facilitator reports. I wanted to let the council know that these documents have since been reviewed by FSEC staff and approved by the acting FSEC executive director. Staff continue to work with the certificate holder to review plans, including the Land and Shoreline Use, or LSU, Dryland Farming Management Plan as required by Mitigation Measure LSU-2, and the Livestock Management Plan required under Mitigation Measures LSU-1 and LSU-3, which were recently received from the certificate holder. The plans were developed as a framework for coordination with landowners and tenant farmers during project construction, operation, and decommissioning, with the objective to establish clear communication expectations, practical notice periods, and field work protocols that reflect local practices. FSEC staff are also evaluating a recent request to remove 3 trees consistent with mitigation measure Veg 1, tree avoidance. This mitigation measure states that construction shall avoid removing or disturbing trees within the project lease boundary, but also allows for the certificate holder to remove trees with FSEC pre-approval where tree disturbance cannot be avoided by the project. The certificate holder reports that the 3 black walnut trees located at the intersection of Beadle Road, and if I mispronounce that for locals, correct me at some point, at the intersection of Beadle Road and County Well Road need to be removed to support siting and construction of a substation and point of interconnect, as the siting of the substation elsewhere cannot feasibly be done within the existing approved micrositing corridor. 2 of these trees are in poor condition and 1 was confirmed dead last year in 2025. Mitigation for removal of the 3 trees would be replacement in kind with 3 native species that will have a higher probability of survival. Details of the tree replacement will be included in the revised wildlife and habitat mitigation plan prior to the start of construction. After receiving FSEC approval of their pronghorn GPS collaring protocol and the pronghorn capture and handling procedures, the certificate holder conducted 2 pronghorn collaring events on February 27th and March 13th. A total of 17 pronghorn have been collared and are being tracked by GPS, including 14 females and 3 males. Does the council have any questions?
Council members? Comments or questions? I see none. So we will say thank you on that update and move on to Hop Hill, which Don Barnes will provide.
Thank you, Chair Beckett and council members. This is John Barnes, FSEC staff for the Hop Hill application. Staff are continuing to work with the applicant in the submission of additional application materials for the Hop Hill project. Staff are also working with the applicant and the Department of Ecology to schedule an April site visit to conduct verification of the wetlands and waters delineation reports for this project. This verification is required to support a SEPA determination for the project. Are there any questions?
Council members? Seeing none, we will move on to Wallula Gap.
Thank you, Chair Beckett and council members. This is John Barnes, FSEC staff for the Wallula Gap application. Staff are continuing to work with the applicant, One Energy, and the Yakima Nation Cultural Resource Program staff regarding impacts identified in the TCP Traditional Cultural Properties study and report conducted by the Yakima Nation for this application. Staff have received the Department of Ecology final wetlands and waters report for this application. Staff will be working with the applicant to determine if project modifications are needed based on the information contained in this report. As a reminder, identification of potential project impacts and mitigations that can be resolved as part of the FSEC SEPA determination process. Are there any questions?
Council members, comments, questions? Seeing none, we will move on to GoldenEye, and Joanne Snarsky will provide the update.
Thank you. Again, this is Joanne Snarsky, the siting specialist for the proposed GoldenEye battery energy storage facility proposed in Skagit County. Staff are continuing to assess the potential impacts from the proposed project as required by the State Environmental Policy Act. We are working internally and with our supporting agency partners to evaluate potential impacts to determine if there will be any additional data needs to support our evaluation. Also, staff recently received a letter from the Upper Skagit Tribe identifying their ongoing concerns with the project location. We are evaluating best options for following up with them. May I answer any questions?
Council, questions or comments for staff? Okay, seeing none. I did want to note, as I think staff probably have captured, but Council Crouppen, I've seen your note here about asking for details on the Hop Hill site visit afterwards. So just capturing that for the record, Council Crouppen. And with that, we will move on to our other agency updates, starting with Dave Walker.
Thank you, Chair Beckett. For the record, Dave Walker, Interim Director with FSEC. I first wanted to start with a new employee update. I wanted to introduce Gina Young. She started with us at the beginning of this month. Gina is part of our contracts and fiscal office and is a fantastic addition, and we very much appreciate her being aboard. She comes to us from Department of Health, and prior to that, Employment Security. She's been with the state for about 4 years now. So welcome, Gina.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Next, I wanted to just give a quick budget update now that the legislative session is over. The budget bill is with the governor currently for review. We do not have a signed budget bill as of yet. Although what started out to be what we anticipated, a 15% reduction in our general funds, was greatly diminished as the legislative session made its way through to conclusion. With the numbers, it's really hard to say quite yet where they're going to land. Obviously, the governor still needs to review and sign it, so it's most likely premature for us to make any statements at this point, although we believe that the budget is in good shape for FSEC moving into the second half of this fiscal year. So once we have a signed budget, we'll certainly update the council on any changes that have occurred on that. One thing I did want to bring forward was FSEC's work on the Executive Order 25-11. This is specific to projects going on across the state, and these are clean energy projects, that FSEC does have jurisdiction over 7 of those projects that we're currently efforting with the acceleration team that was created by Executive Order 2511. We have had a chance to go through and comb that list, and we have brought it down to 3, possibly 4 projects under FSEC jurisdiction that will meet the requirements and elements of the tax incentives as put forth in the federal budget. We are going to continue to work those, obviously, with the acceleration team and internally to see if we can bring 3 or possibly all 4 of these projects to conclusion within the timeframes, which is operational, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Amy. They need to be operational by the end of December 2029. Does that sound
I believe that's correct.
Okay. So that's all we really have to talk about on this particular subject at this time, but we'll certainly keep the council informed as we are continuing to move forward on these acceleration efforts. And with that, that was all I had for my updates.
Okay.
I can hand it over to Lisa. Yeah, she
Let
had.
me see if council have questions or comments for you. Appreciate the focus on the governor's executive order, of course. And as noted on Carriager, I guess, by myself earlier. So with that, council members, questions or discussion you wish to have about any of Dave's updates? For now.
Thanks for the update. Welcome new folks.
That we will move on to our legislative update, and then followed by the rulemaking update. That again is rulemaking on pre-application, adjudication, and site restoration. They focus on less than all those 3 things.
Beckett, council members, for the record, my name is Lisa McLean, the Legislative and Policy Manager and Tribal Liaison for FSEC. Legislative and policies on the agenda for today. Legislative update. We all know that the sine die was on Thursday, and the major piece of legislation that we were tracking and trying to work with the sponsors on was SHB 2496 concerning tribal consultation. conducted by FSEC. That was sponsored by Senator Sharon Shoemake and Representative Chris Stearns. That passed the legislature and now is awaiting the governor's signature. It was not agency request legislation per se, but something that we were working actively with Yakima, the Association of Washington Businesses, and elected staff and members, and the governor's office on. To go into the details about what that bill is going to allow, it's going to allow the full council to meet with a tribal council at their request as part of the government-to-government consultation process. Should the number of council members constitute a quorum, it will not constitute a meeting under the Open Public Meetings Act, provided that there is no deliberation between members of the FSEC Council and there are no assurances or commitments made by members of the FSEC Council at the meeting. The goal of the consultation is to hear from the tribes to enable them to provide us information regarding tribal resources and rights that might be affected by the project, and also as a way for them to give us their proposals for minimizing, avoiding, or mitigating any adverse effects. Also, our statute already required us to provide a summary of the G2G consultation process to the governor. Now, as per the amendments that have been made, any report summarizing that G2G consultation process should be given in advance to the tribe, who should be given 30 days to request any corrections or provide a summary of its own. This is important. This bill is important because of the fact that some of the tribes want to meet with all the decision makers, not just the chair as it was before. So that's important to them. And they also want to be able to see whether and how we are characterizing to the governor the consultation process. The business community had some concerns. We work with Association of Washington Businesses. They were worried about discussions that are out of the public eye that might exclude them from the discussion, and worried that maybe some mitigation measures would be agreed to behind closed doors. And they also were concerned about the ability of the tribe to submit their own summary of the consultation process. We worked closely with AWB. They were not pro, but they were neutral. And there's nuanced language in the amendments that were approved that seek to address some of those concerns. We welcome the change to our statute and hope that it serves as an important step in deepening our ability to learn and engage in meaningful dialogue with our tribal partners as we pursue the agency's responsibilities. So that's my legislative update. Is there any questions about that?
Turn this to the council, see if there were any comments or questions on the legislative item. I would just quickly say thank you. I would also highlight and celebrate our staff's work with the Yakima Nation staff, as well as that with the Association of Washington Business, and appreciate that organization trying to work, through to a solution, knowing they had concerns, which seems to be not quite done yet in terms of the governor's consideration and signature, but well on its way, and appreciate our legislative leaders you mentioned who were part of that. I will just note, should that be signed into law, today, I feel at times, sometimes, we're not always ensuring we're hearing one another, especially in some of the conversations within our consultation. And where that can be a more fulsome hearing of one another's needs and impacts or concerns, like on the Cascade Renewable Transmission Project, at the beginning, rather than when it's currently allowed far later in adjudication, in a more legal and appropriate setting, knowing some projects need adjudication. That's one of the hopefully benefits that ultimately won't change the public's full review and input ultimately as the council does its work and eventually reaches conclusion on any project. So I think that's part of the experiment here that's underway, but I think, coming from a good place. So with that added context, thanks council for allowing me to expand on that. And Council Nelson, please.
Thank you, Chair Beckett. This thought might not be fully cooked, but I just want to express it because we're having this discussion in the Department of Ecology. So if this is signed into law, if a tribal government requests then a GDG with an agency, and in the GDGs I've been into, there's often been like a full agenda of multiple topics, you know. And even if a site's being permitted through FSEC, you know, they could still talk to an agency about concerns. So I was just wondering, as a council member, what are, under the judicial ethics laws that we're, you know, that we have to uphold to, what, if any, our role could then be in those G2Gs within our agencies, you know, if a site that was going through FSEC was on the agenda. So that's something that I plan to seek guidance on. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Let me try to make sure I heard you, that if you're involved in a consultation within Ecology, if Ecology is consulting.
Yeah, so previously, you know, it just would have been the FSEC chair participating with the tribe. And now if there's council members present, and then we also are called into, you know, separate G2G at our agency regarding, you know, and if there's an energy facility that is going to go through FSEC or is in the process through FSEC is on that agenda, if we should recuse ourselves, you know, or if that would have any impact on those standards we need to uphold about not talking about specific projects outside of this process.
Sure. Well, we may need to follow up with you to just get a little further detail and clarity to make sure we're answering the question fully and correctly. Generally, the operating condition is that the council only does work as the council, and hence if you're, you know, exposed on a FSEC project within other agency work, that's where you would need to not be present per se. It's the, I think, simple answer, but we may need to dig in a little offline, which we're happy to do with council talk as well.
I was going to say, thank you, Chair Beckett. Due to my personal liability in the matter, that is the stance I am currently taking, but it is an open discussion, so I just want to make sure I get it right.
Appreciate that. Well, the conditions do evolve with each item, so there's not always common answers across that same question. So appreciate your diligence in raising it. Any other hands? With that, then we will move to rulemaking.
Moving to rulemaking, as you will recall, we filed a pre-proposal statement of inquiry in November for amending 3 chapters related to adjudicated proceedings, related to application process, and related to site restoration and preservation. The adjudicated proceeding and site restoration and preservation is an attempt to update the language to the current practice that we use. And the application process is about adding detail about the pre-application process into the rules. So we had hoped to have draft amendments to you in February for council review, but unfortunately, due to legislative session, onboarding of our new rules and policy coordinator and other things, we have somewhat slowed in this process. However, in the last couple of weeks, we've made a lot of progress, and we believe that we are on the verge of sharing the draft amended language with our legal counsels for review. And depending upon their availability, given their other responsibilities towards the council, we see a realistic schedule could maybe be that we present to you the language for approval in April 15th and come back to you for final approval on July 15th with the new rules taking effect on August 15th. Or alternatively, we may not be ready till May 20th, whereupon you would be approving in May 20th the language to go in front of the people for a hearing. And then the council would approve the final version on August 19th, and it would take effect on September 14th. Having said all of that, as all of you are members of your own agencies and probably have participated in rules, this all assumes that we file the language, we have a hearing, we don't make any huge substantive amendments that require us to refile the language and have another hearing. So if it's all smooth, then we might have rules by September at the latest. But, you know, we never can say. So stay tuned. We are working on it. Hopefully we'll have something for you soon.
Thank you for the update. Council, let me turn to, I have a comment, but let me turn to my fellow council members first for any questions or comments they may wish. I would just, I guess, thanks. Then I would add, as the person who's always pushing to move with time certain outcomes and with, I wouldn't say always with speed, but again, with, more certainty around our path. I also appreciate that quickly we'll be at year end if we don't keep moving here. At the same juncture, I do think, given the topics and just kind of the general path ahead for FSEC, whatever clarifications, improvements, changes we're making, we need to do our best work and get it, as constructively clear as we can. And if that takes a little more time to do that, ultimately, I think, we can do a little bit of both there as you bring that schedule forward. So we'll look forward to more evolutions as you've already updated. So soon. With that, that concludes our main agenda. If there are closing comments or any questions, et cetera, from council members, let me call for that. Or soon we will be finished.
Very quickly, Chair Beckett, want to go back to the beginning of our agenda and just welcome Kate Dean to the council. Welcome aboard. Sorry I couldn't be there with you in person today at the UTC FSEC building, but we'll meet you soon and looking forward to working with you.
Thank you, Councilor Ryberick. I'm sorry to say that you're all missing Pie Day here, and there's quite a selection of pie just to rub it in.
Maybe we'll have to have pizza pie day for a future meeting, but very good. Thank you.
Both were represented, just so you know.
All right. Very good.
All right. Well, thank you all, and especially our council members for your time and participation and engagement today. And with that, at 2:22, we are adjourned.
Thank you.